This is Joshua Farnsworth. Welcome to my traditional woodworking school. In this video, handplane expert Bill Anderson will show you how to avoid the pitfalls of choosing and buying a vintage metal or wooden tongue and groove plane.
The next group planes we're going to talk about are tongue and groove planes. A tongue and groove is a type of joint to join individual pieces of wood together into a larger panel. Here's an example of a tongue and groove joint like that. Of course, the simplest way to join panels together would be a butt type joint, long, straight, and smooth joint glued up like that. And you make larger panels this way, which very large panels can expand and contract with the seasons. The advantage of the tongue and groove joint is that, first of all, the joint is not glued together. It's just assembled like this, and from individual panels, and as they expand and contract with the season, the joint will open and close, but no gap all the way through will appear through the panel like that. So it's important that the joint overlap like this, but not to be glued together. And you see tongue and groove joinery in flooring, backs of cabinets, bottoms of drawers and chests and things like that. Anywhere where you want to assemble a larger panel and put that together from small pieces, but you want to counteract the effect of seasonal movement in the wood that might affect the structure of your chest or cabinet or whatever. Quite a versatile joint, like I said, long grain type joint like that. This is the groove part, and this is the tongue part. And you can see that the two planes that cut that will be the mirror images of each other. And I've got an arrangement of planes here of this style. First over here we have a pair of wooden planes called match planes. And they're called match planes as well as tongue and groove planes because they were manufactured to match each other perfectly. And this particular plane, one of them cuts the groove and one cuts the tongue. And you can see that the cutters match each other in that respect. If you're looking for a pair of planes like this, it's important that they are in fact matched. So you want to look at owner and user stamps on the edge of the plane. You want to see markings on the edge of the plane here that indicate size. You want to see that the plane is made with the same wood, same style of construction. It's very important. In addition, you want to make sure that the irons are the appropriate irons. Let me just get one of these irons out of here. You want to see that the one iron, in this case the groove iron, fits in between the space between the tongue iron so that you know that those two irons will cut complementary style of joinery like that. It's not infrequent that a plane will be missing an iron and someone will just stick in a random iron in that case. So that's the main thing to look out for. Other things to look for here on these style of planes, there's a metal part here called a skate. You see the skate's in two parts, it's screwed on, and the skate needs to be in line and the same height there. The skate offers support for the groove iron, so you can see there's a small groove in the back of this iron that rests on the edge of the skate like that and helps you to orient the iron exactly in the middle of the skate like that. If the skates are out of alignment, you can take them out and you can shim them and you can get them back. You can file them down so that they're the same height. That's really about the only thing. Other than missing irons or let's just say inappropriate iron replacement. Other than that, this issues of the skate might be a problem. You also notice that this particular plane here has a little bit missing out of the profile right here. A little divot has been snapped out. And it's an aesthetic issue, but so far I use these planes a lot. Has no practical functional effect on how well this plane cuts its joint or the shaving that I take or anything like that. The other thing is, you notice both these planes have a metal fence here to help reduce wear on the sides, and you sometimes see that on the better class of tongue and groove planes.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying watching our video so far, and I just want to take a few seconds to let you know about our traditional woodworking store, which you can visit while taking a class or by visiting our website at woodandshop.com/store. You'll find our amazing products to help you grow in traditional hand tool woodworking, including in-person and video woodworking classes, woodworking hand tools and workbenches, woodworking plans, traditional wood finishes, shirts and hats, and cool hand tool woodworking gifts for you or your loved ones. Okay, back to the show.
So here's another style of plane, also a match plane, but it's called a come and go plane. You can see that it sort of quizzically has irons facing in opposite directions. One of them is the tongue iron and one is the groove iron. So this plane, and it has a fence running right down the center like that. So when you're cutting the groove, for example, the fence rests here on the board, and when you're cutting the tongue, the fence rests on the same relative edge to the board so that you get a matching tongue exactly opposite the groove, as we showed in this example right here. The nice thing about these planes is both halves are together. Here sometimes the planes are separated and you only find one or the other. So both halves are together, still need to check the irons, so on and so forth. So this is a come and go. These planes typically came in 1/16 of an inch increments, all the way from 1/4 inch to, for flooring planes, could be 1.5 inches or 2 inches wide, depending on the type of flooring you're using. So they're pretty versatile. They basically are designed to cut a tongue and a groove down the middle of the board for which they are stamped. This one is stamped 3/4 right here. So it'll cut a groove in the middle of a 3/4 inch thick piece of stock. And that's how you look at that. Stanley made a pair of tongue and groove planes, 2 different styles, and they made them in just 3 sizes for each one: a 3/8, 5/8, and 7/8 inch size. And that meant that it cut the groove in the middle of stock of one of those 3 dimensions. And this particular one, the number 148, cuts on a 7/8 inch stock. It's a come and go plane, just like this wooden one right here. The iron's facing in opposite directions, so and the fence right down the middle like that. So it'll cut a groove in a 7/8 inch stock, but you can use them for stock as narrow as 3/4 and as wide as 1 inch. What that means is the groove will be offset to one side or the other when you cut the joint, and as long as you use the same face, reference face for both boards, for all boards that make up that panel, the joints will all be exactly opposite each other. So these planes are very versatile in that respect. The 3/8 will cut down to 1/4, up to 1/2, and so on and so forth. So really, those 3 planes will cover stock all the way from 1/4 inch thick up to over 1 inch thick. Another style of plane that Stanley made is called a swing arm. And you see here, it's got a fence, and that's the arm, and the arm can swing and be caught by a little lever adjustment here. So in this case right here, you can see I've adjusted the fence, 2 cutters are exposed. And so this will cut a tongue down the middle of this board. And this is a Stanley 48. Remember, this was the 148. So the 3 sizes here were 147, 148, and 149. The 3 sizes here are 47, 48, and 49. Same range of sizes here. When I release the fence and adjust the other side and let it snap in, then only 1 cutter is exposed, and so I'm cutting the groove. So this plane cuts both tongue and groove. And you can see here that they each have 2 cutters. Very often, I wouldn't say all the time, but not infrequently, the cutters are missing from these planes, or inappropriate cutters have been put in here. And in reality, this one right here, for example, you can see here, this cutter, the one that's cutting the groove, is actually a cutter from a Stanley 45 plane. This is the style of cutter that Stanley 45 used, and someone has ground this here to make an appropriate width cutter to match the groove right there so that they can have a functional plane. So even though the cutters are sometimes missing from these planes, you can find these loose at tool shows, and you can also find Stanley 45 cutters and modify them to fit here. And that's not infrequently the case here. So you just need to make sure that the cutter you get matches the size for the width of plane that you're looking for. Not much can go wrong with these other than the fact that the cutters can be inappropriate. This particular plane here, the swing arm, sometimes the spring here is rusted or broken, and the spring action doesn't quite catch the fence as it comes around. The other thing that can be sometimes wrong is these screws here, which allow the fence to rotate freely and without, when it's locked in, there not be any wobble there at all. This screw needs to be tightened up, or it can be stripped out and can be replaced. But those screws can be found. It's a pretty standard sort of set there. So quite a useful set of planes. There are a couple manufacturers that make modern tongue and groove planes. Lee Nielsen and Veritas both make tongue and groove planes. Lee Nielsen makes a 1/2 inch and 3/4, and those are finely engineered planes and beautiful, but they do in fact only cut up to 3/4 of an inch. If you have stock a little bit wider, you can't use those planes for wider stock. You can use them for narrower stock, and it'll be, as I said, the groove will be shifted over. But these planes will work quite a range of stock thicknesses, and so that's a real advantage. It's worthwhile finding a nice set of these to use. When I'm cutting tongue and grooves, I almost invariably use either this plane here, especially in the classes we teach here, or in my shop, I like to use the wooden planes. I like the beauty and the simplicity of these planes, and I like working with wooden planes. So I'll use this particular pair here quite a bit.
If you're interested in learning traditional woodworking, come take a class at our school in Earlysville, Virginia. You can also visit our website at woodandshop.com, where you'll find a bunch of free woodworking lessons, workshop tours, and our very popular tool buying guides. And make sure you subscribe to our free newsletter to get our latest articles and videos. Enjoy!